Oh, yeah. Swing for the fences, baby. Look who we got today. We got DC, Mr. Draft Cheat. We got Titletown. Titletown, we're going to have to help Titletown out. Everybody give Titletown some good mojo today. He's not feeling very good. I tried to get him on the medicine that my 61-year-old girlfriend is on, but he's too young for it. So that's a little bummer. What's happening, Title? I know you did some best ball today. For those of you that are checking out RPS or RPS, but you didn't realize it, we got a ton of NFL best ball going on right now at Run Pure Sports. So you and JSU had a nice little show today. How are the best ball streets going, dude? Because you crushed last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's only May, but I think right now I'm 320 drafts, something like that in so far. It's a grind, no doubt about that. It does help when you bank a little extra money the previous year too to throw in some more. So yeah, full aboard on the DFS on the best ball streets. We have a best ball place in Discord. Talk about it. JSU and I go live Monday, Wednesday, 3 Eastern, fire up a live draft, answer questions there. So yeah, best ball season in full force, no doubt about that. As far as baseball, 6 games on DK. We have 7 on FanDuel. So if you play both sites, FanDuel does lock earlier, 6:40 Eastern, is including the Padres game. So little different, 7 games on FanDuel, 6 games on DK. Excited to talk some baseball with you boys.
Yeah, we could talk some of that 7-game slate too. That's absolutely fine. Then, of course, DC. And, let me give a shout out. We got, here it is. Poe, DJ, and Stoner. He's up in northern Colorado there by, what is that, Greeley, Wake and Bake? DFS. I'd be waking and baking if I lived up there too. What's going on, DC? Talk to me here. How's the slate working for you? I got my ass kicked with the Rangers today, both DFS and betting. So hopefully we can bounce back tonight and have a better slate.
I will say before even DC, it doesn't help when leadoff Marcus Semien 417.
Oh, don't even start. Don't even start. That was so tilting. They left runners on base in the first, but hey, listen, shit happens. What's going on, DC?
Not too much. I'm just jealous of the guy that's apparently wakes up at 3:30 in the afternoon and starts smoking weed. It sounds like a pretty good lifestyle you got going on over there. So
Sounds
things
like
are good. I think made a good kind of a classic mistake for me where, I'm always talking about getting leverage for the early slate against chalk pitchers if I'm not playing them. Lance Lynn, I think he came in. Did he come in the most popular title? I think he may have.
Him and Wood. Either way, they both sucked.
Yeah, I said it was a 3-pitcher slate. I played Keller, Eflin, and Schuster, who are all pretty good, at least when you compare them to Lance Lynn. But the mistake was, should I have Shohei Ohtani if you're not playing Lance Lynn?
Yeah.
And so, sometimes I did play 7 or 8 lineups and I didn't play any of them. Decent early slate, but just one of those where just such an obvious leverage spot against the chalky pitcher. That's why I mentioned it on the shows, but sometimes, you're building lineups and you just go a little bit of a different direction. So yeah, early slate was fun. Still going on now, wrapping up a little bit. Some crazy games. What's a 12-8 between the Guardians and the Orioles? I didn't really see that one coming necessarily either. So, yeah, I do enjoy these all-day baseball, double slate, 7 games earlier, 6 games tonight, 7 if you're playing on FanDuel. And I think a really interesting slate tonight, honestly. I think there are a lot of different ways you can go. I think we'll see ownership relatively spread out. There are some sneaky stacks that I've got confidence in, at least in terms of upside. And pitching is pretty sketchy, I think, outside of Hunter Brown. So obviously we'll break all that down and get into it.
Yeah, we got 3 early games tomorrow. Really 4 if you include the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. But you're right. I mean, you wake up, you put your lineups together. If you're a Poe Stoner, you wake up at 3:30 Mountain Time, and then you put your lineups together for the night slate. This is a pretty nice. This is pretty nice, buddy. Good job to see you killing it here before the slate starts, at least. A couple things from the afternoon slate. The Rangers, yes, they actually killed me. AP with Shohei Ohtani in his core. I don't know if any of our other coordinators had it. I was like, it's my favorite player ever, but I didn't do it. So sucks for me. Of course, the Angels go off there, and we do have some sketchy pitching this evening with some offense that we'll get into too. We do have an hour show, though, and only 6.5 games because we are going to get into this FanDuel thing, but that doesn't lock for an hour from now. So we got a little while to do that. But media day here in Denver. Jokic is talking NBA Finals. Haven't gotten titles thoughts on the NBA Finals yet, DC. And I know you got a couple of thoughts too, but talk to me, title. What's going on here? You think it's the Nuggets? Nuggets in 4, 5, 6? How many games?
Yeah, I think probably 5. I'll say the Heat get 1. I did pick the Celtics over the Heat in Game 7, though. Jimmy showed us you can never count out Jimmy. Bam. I mean, Caleb Martin, we talked about it that day too. That man is he's gonna get a bag, and rightfully so. But hopefully it doesn't turn out like Duncan Robinson. But he'll get his bag, no doubt. But I mean, the best player in the world in Jokic, got Jamal. They're playing great team ball. It is always scary Game 1 with the long rest after the sweep, and the Heat did go 7. I'm a little Game 1. How do they come out in the first quarter? But they're the better team. They have the best player. He'd have overachieved, I think, a little bit. But, yeah, I think Denver takes care of them. You, Big T, DC's a Nuggets fan. A lot of Denver fans at RPS. And, hey, I know how it feels to get 1 with the Milwaukee Bucks in a long time. It felt great. Hopefully you guys can feel the same, and I think you will.
Yeah, I think so. I think Game 1's going to be great to bet live, too, because I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat came out strong and then the Nuggets just come out and beat the shit out of them. Probably win by double digits. It's an 8.5 point spread. DC, you and I were talking yesterday about this. Like, we're here in Denver, not as much buzz as you would expect. And again, I go back to this. I think it's because the majority of Denver does not have access to the Nuggets games. You know, the diehards watch them. Some people go to the games. They don't have it. But that's where I am right now. So I do think the Nuggets come out and win this thing, but everybody has been against the Heat this whole playoffs. I think the difference between this series and the Boston series is that the Celtics are completely dysfunctional and that the Nuggets are not. The Nuggets are just riding high. Thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can be like more functional than the Nuggets are in a lot of different ways. It seems like.
Uh-oh. He got so excited about talking about the Nuggets, he just froze up. Hey, I also want to do something new today. Where are you? Where's everybody living? I mean, we got Poja and Stoner in Northern Colorado. Mr. Griff is checking in from Kansas City, my old home. I love Kansas City. Rock Chalk, baby. It's a wonderful place. DC's back, though.
Yeah. Cut out twice there. Hopefully it holds up. But, yeah, go back to the Nuggets. Like, I tweeted about this earlier when Jokic was having his game. The Celtics are one of those teams that just is a high variance team in general. They shoot so many threes, and you see that kind of with the Warriors, teams like that who are reliant on the three ball. That can come and go, right? But like Jokic, he like almost can't have a bad game just because of the way he plays, right? He's never gonna like forget how to pass. He's not gonna forget how to rebound. And even his shooting, right? It's mostly kind of around the hoop. He's not a jump shooter. And so he's just so consistent game after game. You obviously see that playing DFS, but even just, real hoops wise, he's the most consistent performer in the league. And, you talk about the long layoff, like that could be a concern, but when your best player is the Joker and the way he plays, I just don't see that being an issue for the Nuggets. So, if it wasn't for the Heat just defying expectations at every step along the playoffs, I would kind of be completely counting them out. But even so, I do think this should be a kind of a cakewalk for the Nuggets. I would title, I think, 5 games. Maybe the Heat get Game 3 or Game 4 in Miami, and then maybe the Nuggets close it out Game 5 back here in Denver. But I saw a crazy tweet about the altitude advantage, the home court advantage for Denver teams historically. The Nuggets' historical winning percentage at home is like 650, 65%. On the road, it's 35%. Just a massive gap. They've got home field advantage here. I think they could win in Miami too, but I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Miami to steal a game in Denver. So, yeah, looking forward to it. Obviously, starting up tomorrow. The showdown content here at RPS has been on point. We're all looking forward to that. And, no matter who you're cheering for, you can certainly take advantage of that over on the site. So excited for it, and should be a really fun series, I think.
Yeah, and the Heat have been here for three days, but, man, it's still – they're not playing, It's just different. And he's been – and they're just – and this year they're 500 on the road and they're unbeatable at home. They haven't lost in the playoffs here. So again, we've been wrong. Like this is the chalk. The Nuggets are the chalk. The chalk is wrong a lot, But if you kind of step back and look at it, there's a reason for it. Wow, we got people in Utah, Mississippi. I didn't even know they had DFS in Mississippi. Socialist Republic of Canada, huh? I love Canada. Well, you got two of the best towns in the world, Toronto and Vancouver up there. Let's mention Mangone. You're right. Rubio has been an absolute heater. I've been texting with him a lot lately, trying to get some of the mojo that he has going on right now. So that's what you get here. RunPureSports.com. Maybe you have played Showdown. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you haven't, and you want to try it for the NBA Finals. You like the NBA and you haven't tried it yet. I mean, come on. Big T, probably the best Showdown. He's the best Showdown player in the world. Rubio, the hottest Showdown player in the world. They give you their cores, and we got a whole playbook building the whole thing out. Title 15, 15% off your first payment of a monthly plan. Wow, dude, we got some people all over the place. I didn't even know DFS was legal in some of these places. Woof. I almost moved to Seattle, but no DFS, no betting. Not good. Not a good place to be. Anyways, we can finally get into the slate now. We'll get some more overall thoughts on the slate from DC before we get into it. I just want to ask you the question about the chalk. So yesterday we had so many games, everything's spread out, but today just 6 games on DK, 7 on FanDuel. So who's the chalk, guys? Philly, maybe Toronto, maybe Milwaukee. Who's standing out to you guys as far as the chalk?
I think it'll be Boston mainly. I think it's Hunter Brown and George Kirby. If we're just saying one team and 2 pitchers, those 3 right there. Boston right, with Kirby and Brown.
What do you got, DC?
Yeah, I think that's true. I don't know necessarily if it'll be like it's hard to get all 3 of those on the same team, right? The 2 most expensive pitchers, and then Boston. I suppose you can go to the bottom of the lineup. I really like Boston. Like they are my number 1, but the big bats that you want in Boston, for me, it's the 3 lefties near the top, Verdugo, Devers, and Yoshida are all 5K plus. So it is a little bit difficult to fit those in together, but I do agree with Title. I think pretty clearly, I'll be really surprised if it's not Hunter Brown, who's the most popular pitcher on the slate. And I'd be pretty surprised if it wasn't, Hunter Brown, George Kirby in that order, 1, 2 as popular. And then I think it'll be clearly Aaron Nola as the 3rd most popular. Is that the way you see it as well, Title?
Yeah, probably Nola. I think a couple of those guys get, like, if people want to try Manoah or Clark Schmidt or something, it's definitely those 2 and probably Nola, but I don't feel as strongly about the 3rd.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, guys, let's just talk about the one game on FanDuel. We got San Diego, Miami, Blake Snell, Braxton Garrett. Any thoughts here, DC, if you're playing FanDuel? Braxton Garrett might actually be a pretty good option. No?
Yeah, I've been on Braxton Garrett for this run. He had that game against the Braves, I don't know, 5-6 starts ago where they just let him wear when their bullpen was worn out. I think he gave up 11 earned runs in that game. He's been pretty damn lights out since then, including a pretty good game at Coors Field. So yeah, if you're playing on FanDuel, I absolutely think Braxton Garrett is in play. He's 8,600 over there, which is actually the pitcher pricing on FanDuel is obviously generally tighter than it is on DraftKings. So that actually is a decent discount that you get with Garrett. I don't mind that. And even Snell, I think you could play. Obviously a really good matchup against Miami, good place to pitch. So yeah, if you are over on FanDuel, I think both those guys, Snell and Garrett, are in play. I do prefer the Garrett side, and don't really love the hitting in that game in general outside of hard to ignore Jorge Soler right now, especially against the lefty like Blake Snell. He would be the one guy that I'd be most likely to play hitting-wise from that game.
Title, if you're playing the FanDuel slate, either pitcher or any from the offenses with San Diego, Miami?
I mean, the game's going to be really low owned hitters and pitching-wise. I would lean the pitchers in Snell and Garrett, like DC said. I would lean Snell just because he has more upside, a little higher K-prop, is a pitcher's ump behind the dish as well. Good pitcher's park. So it's going to be Brown and Kirby over there as well. That is going to be the chalk. So if you want to get different and play the first game, I do prefer pitchers. I lean Snell. We know the upside's there. And yeah, like DC said for pitching, I mean, man, like George Kirby, I think there's some concerns about as well. Hunter Brown, definitely SP1, but there's a lot of ways you can go at pitcher. I don't think it's a great pitching slate. And yeah, on FanDuel, a lot of people play. If they play FanDuel, I feel like a lot of people probably play DraftKings as well too. Just going to ignore the whole first game and make it a 6-game slate on both sides. So I think it's going to be really low owned over there. I don't mind either pitcher. I lean Snell though.
All right. So we talked about Hunter Brown. Let's get right into the pitching. And we will go to DraftKings, though. That's just where we'll start. And Hunter Brown is going to be mega chalky tonight. Then you go George Kirby, Nola, who, boy, which Nola are we getting tonight? He has not looked good against the Mets, especially. Paxton, Big Maple back on the mound tonight with a nice high strikeout rate, but he's had some issues. Varland, Weaver, Clark Schmidt. And then you got a struggling Alex Manoah, Cookie Carrasco, who's been hammered. Julio Teheran is on this slate. And then all the way down, Dinelson Lamet is back in the world again. It's great to see Dinelson Lamet, who was good in the minors, but just has not. He's been walking everybody again, DC. And usually we like to start at the top, but do you have any Dinelson Lamet?
Yeah, I actually like
you do,
him.
Don't you?
On this particular slate, I think he's worth taking a shot on, partly because I've got a good amount of faith for sure in Hunter Brown. I think, when I'm considering whether or not to play a chalk pitcher, partly I think it depends on, your level of faith in that pitcher, of course. And then, it depends on if there's other good options that can match that pitcher. I think if Hunter Brown's like really on his game, he will be the SP1 pretty clearly. I think he's got, for my money, clearly the most upside and the highest floor. And so when you get both of those things, that's when I think it's probably worth eating some chalk. I think that's true of Hunter Brown. And I don't think you have to play him. He is expensive. He is going to be very popular. But I do think if you're making one lineup, I think starting in with Hunter Brown, probably a wise decision tonight for the most part. Beyond him, though, I've got a lot of question marks about, frankly, the rest of the pitching. We'll get to Lamet here in a second. Like George Kirby, definitely a good pitcher, but not really a high strikeout guy. He's also coming off a start where he got absolutely crushed by Pittsburgh. And we saw the Yankees last night kind of surprisingly have a monster performance against Logan Gilbert. So they're obviously feeling good in that ballpark, feeling confident coming into this game. Kirby's had some big games for sure. He is capable of big games, but I don't think he's going for 25 plus in this one. So I do think he is a guy that you can fade. He's not going to be on my main lineup. I feel the same way about Aaron Nola, honestly. I've been off of him pretty much all year long. Him and Bieber are two guys that I've faded, kind of have them in the same bucket, kind of good pitchers, but declining velocity this year. Just hasn't been super sharp. Nola hasn't. Once he got an ERA sitting near 5, the third point of the season. So this Mets lineup, not a lot of strikeouts in it, honestly, and especially at the top, a lot of good hitters. So I feel pretty good about the Nola fade. Man, you get beyond that title, and there's just not that much to like. Clark Schmidt is a guy that I'm absolutely considering. I was kind of on him at the beginning of the season. He was very, very bad for those first 3 or 4 starts, but has since turned it around. I've always liked the stuff, and now the results are kind of following suit. Get the pitch in Seattle, which is a really good place to pitch, a high strikeout park. And in this Seattle lineup, obviously they can do some damage, but they're a high K lineup too. I don't think we did get their lineup. But yeah, guys like Suarez, Teoscar Hernandez, even their stars, Julio Rodriguez, Jared Kelenic, have strikeout rates near 30%, which is a strength of Schmidt. So I don't feel that confident in Schmidt, and 7,700 is not a great discount, but I do think he is a guy who could get you 7 or 8 strikeouts tonight. So he's in the pool for me. And then really the only other guy I'm considering is Dinelson Lamet. And he is, he's the wild card play. He's going to be, he'll go up a little bit from this show. It does seem to go that way. It's just true, especially when you've got a 1% owned pitcher. Maybe they go from 1 to 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever it is. Like he'll come in higher owned than the projections say. But I do kind of like him a little bit here, partly because he's the cheapest pitcher on the board, partly because I don't really trust anyone on the slate so much outside of Hunter Brown. But there is some things to like. Now, we'll start with the bad. He hasn't made a start in the major leagues in 2 years. He was pitching out of the bullpen for Colorado in April, and then I think into May too, and was like really, really, really bad. Like I think he had an ERA of like 12. But but they were bringing him in uncompetitive games. He said he wanted to be a starting pitcher. They sent him back down to AAA to stretch him out to start. He's made 3 starts down there. The last one he got up to, I think it was 68 pitches, but he has been like flawless in his last 2 AAA outings in a tough place to pitch in the PCL and AAA. Across those 2 outings, 8 2/3 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts, 1 walk, like 2 hits, like truly, just awesome. And he used to be a very, very high strikeout arm, a 30% plus strikeout guy. It's hard to know what to expect, right? This could obviously blow up. Diamondbacks are going to be popular. They've got one of the highest team totals for a reason. Lamette's probably going to give you 75 pitches if things go well. But you need him to go well anyway, right? If we're talking about trying to win a tournament. So I'm not that concerned. He's obviously extremely risky. This one could easily go south in the first inning. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. If we're talking about trying to chase some upside, trying to win, a tournament that's extremely top heavy and you got to beat 10,000 teams. Yeah, I do think Dinelson Lamet is worth playing tonight. He will be on some of my teams for sure. And he allows you to get different, right? He does allow you to get hitters that other people won't get to. You compare them with Hunter Brown, with Clark Schmidt. Those are the main 2 guys I'm looking at, and go from there. So, yeah, it's one of those plays where, you sometimes wish you could just like make it on your own and not have to talk about them or, not put them in your course so you don't get tweets hating on your play when it doesn't work out. Because frankly, it's not that likely to work out. That's just the truth of the matter. He's, 2% owned for a reason. So, yeah, he will be in my own lineups, and those are the reasons why. I know Tito won't be playing him, I'm guessing, but yeah, there you go.
Well, I'll say this about Lamet too. At 5,100, he's not getting you past 15 batters. I mean, you're lucky to get 5 innings out of him, but again, it's 5,100.
I honestly don't even. Yeah,
you don't even think he gets there?
I'm hoping for honestly 4 innings and 6 strikeouts and an earned run, and I'll take that for sure.
And I think Joey works on Colorado again too, so that kind of plays into it. I like when Joey's on stuff, but that probably says a lot about the Diamondbacks on the other side and what they got.
And I'll say this too. So Steve Boynton was the one that kind of alerted me to Dinelson Lamet earlier today in the Discord. So if Lamet sucks, send your tweets that way.
And I did hear the humble brag. I did hear the humble brag about you saying, oh, there he is, Boynton. I did hear it saying, ownership will go up a little bit because of this show. So
it's true.
I like what you're saying. Yeah, I'm going to blame you all day, Boynton. Finally,
my
Rangers.
Of people want to crash.
I lost my first Rangers run line bet today, and it's because you were in the chat, you son of a bitch. All right, let's go, Title Town. Give it to me, dude. What do we got at pitcher since you're not going Lamet? Who's in the pool?
Pitching definitely sucks. Hunter Brown for sure, my favorite. He would be in all my lineups. 20 if I'm only 20 entry max and anything lower, he is a staple in my teams. That means I don't love Kirby as much. If I am playing a Hunter Brown and George Kirby, I'm making sure to play a lower owned stack. There's no doubt about that. Others, I'm maxing one of those 2. It's definitely gross after that. My second favorite is definitely Clark Schmidt, 7.7K. K-Prop's really good, 6.5. There's juice on the under, but still, that's one of the highest K-Prop, second highest K-Prop on the slate. Gets a pitcher's umpire too. And like DC said, Samuel definitely has dangerous bats in there, has some power, but definitely has a lot of strikeouts too. And they've been a little cold. DC was talking up Clark Schmidt since our best ball shows months before the regular season. So it's Hunter Brown and Clark Schmidt in tournaments definitely is my favorite pairing. After that, man, it's tough. Like I'm totally fine playing George Kirby. He's going to be very popular though. Aaron Nola, I don't love it against the Mets, but man, this slate is so bad for pitching. I don't think it's the craziest thing, but I definitely don't like the matchup. James Paxton's a really interesting one. I was hoping DC was going to talk about him a little bit. He's the guy we talk about on this show. You can play him or you can stack against him. Even if you run 5 lineups, you can have one with him. You can have one Cincy stack. I am leaning. It's the James Paxton blow-up game today, and since he gets to him, the extreme hitters umpire is a very bad sign for Paxton because the control isn't there. That's the biggest concern with him. If it was an extreme pitchers umpire, he'd probably be one of my favorite guys on the board. But yeah, he gets. Let me get the exact name behind the dish. Who do you got? Alan Porter, extreme hitters umpire. Alan Porter. So Yeah, that makes me like Cincy a lot more than I do Paxton. He has all the upside in the world. He's only, 14 innings he's thrown this year. The strikeouts have been there, though, but we were picking on him game one after the long layoff. So I lean Cincy more than Paxton today. But again, you play 5 lineups. You could have him in one, Cincy on the other. He's definitely that kind of pitcher. I definitely am going to need DC to talk a little bit about Louis Varland. Get pitchers umpire behind the dish, 4.5K props, some juice on the over too. And I think he's going to be very low owned. So I just want DC to touch on him after. But outside of Clark Schmidt, Hunter Brown, I'm good with Kirby. Paxton, I don't mind in tournaments. I think it'd just be those two. Like, I don't want to play Alek Manoah. People keep bringing him up.
No.
He also has an extreme pitcher umpire behind the dish, but he just has looked so bad, like you said. Like, the extreme pitchers umpire trying to reel me in a little bit, and Milwaukee I'm not scared of. But, man, he's just been so bad with the eye test. I think it's Clark Schmidt. I think it's Hunter Brown, maybe a Kirby, Paxton, Nola. You like Lamet, like DC, and move about your day. But my lineups are definitely coming preloaded with Hunter Brown. I don't care about the ownership and then figure out SP2. But I like Clark Schmidt.
All right. And by the way, is Manoah just fat? I read a couple of notes.
Well, he's definitely fat, but I don't
he
know
might have gotten
else.
fatter, and now he's feeling bad about himself, and he's a roly-poly. Anyways, DC, Title asked you about one of the pitchers here. Who was it? Varland, Louis
Varland. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on him a little bit this year. He's been pretty good for the Twins. I don't think that's a crazy way to go. Watching the Astros get to Joe Ryan yesterday has me a little bit concerned. I don't like picking on the Astros, especially when they're at home. No Jose Altuve, though, in the lineup today for the Astros, which is a nice bonus there for Varland. So I don't hate him at 8,300 on this slate. I do think he's in play. I just don't pick on the Astros all that often and probably won't end up there myself. The Paxton thing is interesting. Like, I think he is, like you said, Title, probably the biggest wild card on the slate. I think he's got a pretty decent K prop. But listen, like, he's thrown like 21 innings in the last 3 years in the big leagues, all of which basically came this year. And I think it's a matter of time for Paxton before he just kind of completely loses it. His velocity was still good last start, but it has declined each start, since that first one. It was a little bit lower in the second and then down a mile per hour in the third. Like, I think Paxton is eventually just going to get absolutely shelled when, maybe he loses a little bit more velocity. The control goes. And we actually saw that in his last start. He had a bad one against the Angels. In that start, he only had a 28% strike rate, which is about as low as you'll see a pitcher get. Now, that's something that can bounce back, right? It could be a one start blip. Again, we've only seen 3 starts out of this guy in the last 3 years, so it's hard to know. But, man, I think when it goes for Paxton, it's going to go in a hurry, and I want to be on the other side of it. So I'm with you, Title. I really like the Reds against Paxton. Like you said, if you're playing 5 lineups, I don't mind throwing Paxton in one of them because, again, we just don't know. Maybe the velocity comes back up. He looks like he did that first start. He could rack up strikeouts. That's in play. But I think the more likely thing is it goes south for Paxton pretty soon here. And then Manoah, I mean, I just can't do Alek Manoah. I've been off of him all year long. I think the pitch clock, new rules is affecting him. It's certainly affecting his ability to hold runners. He's given up the 3rd most steals of any pitcher in baseball. 12 out of 13 are stolen base guys against Manoah. He has the highest walk rate in all of baseball. Maybe the pitcher's umpire helps, but yeah, he was kind of pitching over his head even when he was good. And it's just falling apart for him. Alejandro Kirk behind the plate really struggles with throw runners too. So we'll obviously talk about stacks, but I think the Brewers are very, very sneaky tonight, especially because it sounds like maybe some people are going to try the Manoah train, which no interest there. So
our guys over at Sports Info Solutions, if you don't know about them, you might want to get to know about them. They broke it down mechanically. He's having 3 big issues there. And then he was we're talking about Manoah. He was one of the 3 slowest. He was in the bottom 3rd slowest pitchers in Major League Baseball last year. So you're right. I mean, you got a fat guy that has to work faster. Maybe that adds into it too. Okay. Like button would be great. I don't know where we are right now. I'm not even going to look. I'm just going to say like button. You get us to 175 today. You'll get DC's plays of the day. If you don't, then you don't. Here's what's going on at Run Pure right now. Title and JSU had a best ball show. Tomorrow, myself, JSU, and Big T, we're going to be breaking down NBA Showdown, best crew in the business. If you're looking to get some finals action in there and you haven't been playing Showdown, no better place than RPS. Even our most heated enemies would say that we are the best at it there. We've got tennis with Roland Garros. I think the French Open's going on. Yeah, Susie's just murdering that. MMA, Title, and DC. You guys do shows together. So just because it's the slowest time of the year doesn't mean there's not a lot of sports going. We got a lot. And golf. We got the golf to get into too. So hit the like button. Let's do that. Check out runpuresports.com. We'll go Draft Cheat 15 this time. Draft Cheat 15, 15% off. First payment, monthly subscription. All right, let's get into these 6 games, boys. And we're going to start with Milwaukee and the aforementioned Toronto Blue Jays with Alek Manoah on the mound. I cannot believe here we are in 2023 and Julio Teheran is still making starts. With that being said, he wasn't bad in his first one, was he, DC? What did he go, 5 innings, struck out 5, gave up a run. So you got to think Toronto's going to be a little bit popular. And then I don't know why Milwaukee wouldn't be popular given the struggles of Manoah, but you're saying they're not going to. So break it down for us here. Teheran, Manoah, the offenses, Milwaukee at Toronto.
Yeah, no interest in either pitcher here. Like you said, Teheran definitely stacked against him that first start. Left-handed hitters historically have just absolutely murdered him. Problem is for tonight, not that, of course, Toronto could go off against Teheran, no matter which side of the plate you're swinging from. But I would definitely, if Springer and Bichette and Vlad were all left-handed hitters, this would be my favorite stack of the night, no question about it, because they all swing from the right side and generally hit lefties better themselves. I find myself going a little bit different direction just because that's not something that, they're going to be really popular despite that. And so I just try to, when I build my own lineups, look for kind of the advantageous spots wherever I can. So I like Blue Jays here. They're certainly on my list for top stacks. If you're playing a bunch of lineups, I would absolutely include Blue Jay stacks. But like the lefties that they have that I would really want to play, or, that you could play, Dalton Varsho at 3,600 hitting cleanup, I think is a really fun one-off. But like Kevin Biggio and Kiermaier at the bottom, I'm just not super interested in those guys. They probably get pinch hit for, frankly, if the Brewers bring in a lefty, which isn't ideal, of course. So yeah, I think if you're going to the Blue Jays, honestly, I'd probably just use that top 5: Springer, Bichette, Guerrero, Varsho, Chapman. Bottom of the lineup obviously isn't super great there. And so yeah, they're on my list. But they're not
interject real quick. We got a couple of cores with Kiermaier in it. Is that just price sensitive?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. If you're paying up for, I think a lot of people are going to be going the Kirby, Hunter Brown route. So you do need a little bit of savings. So yeah, I do like Kiermaier more than Biggio. He makes a lot of sense. I have no problem playing him. He's a good enough defender too, where maybe he gets to stay in the game. Even if a lefty does come in, whereas I think Biggio is almost certainly going to be pinch hit for. So yeah, I do like Kiermaier. He would be probably my second favorite Blue Jay, honestly, behind Varsho. And then, yeah, the Brewers side, I think, looks awesome here. Like I said, Manoah, Kirk, that combination has been completely unable to stop the running game this year. And the Brewers have some speed. Christian Yelich, Owen Miller at the top, I would expect to be running. And then at the bottom, it's Abraham Toro, Bryce Turang, Joey Wiemer. So those 5, you can make a very, very affordable stack with those guys. Toro is 2.4K, Turang 2.4, Wiemer 2.1. Again, not the biggest, sexiest of names of hitters, but hitting a stolen base, and you're kind of well on your way to value. So, yeah, I do like this Brewers team. I think they're going to be fairly low owned, but I think they got a chance to do some damage here against Alek Manoah, who, like I said, leading the league in walk rate, can't stop the running game, not going deep into games, getting hit hard. It's just there's been almost no redeeming qualities for Manoah outside of success in previous years. If you're just looking at this year, he's like the worst pitcher in baseball. And, it's been 10, 11 starts already. So, yeah, I think the Brewers very sneaky stack tonight.
Serious question here. Are the Blue Jays the fattest team in baseball? Because Butthole brought it up. Alejandro Kirk is fat. Manoah is fat. Is
Definitely
Dalton
the
Varsho
fattest pitcher catcher battery.
Is that right? That's the fattest. That's like a 5. Let's see here. That's about an 800-pound battery. That's what that is today.
I don't know about 800, but
all right, 700 pounds. All right, 650.
I bet Manoah's 3 bills. I got 3 bills on Manoah.
Manoah and Kirk's probably 270. So you're right. Might be shy of 600. Is Dalton Varsho still fat? Would you call him fat? He was fat.
No.
Not fat. He lost that weight. Vlad is not really fat. He's just.
I don't want to call anyone fat that's not fatter than me. So that's just,
okay.
Just Kirk and Manoah, I think.
You're right, Trevor. Again, yeah, you're right. Vladdy's a big boy, but I don't know how fat he is anymore. He went on a diet.
You can't call Vladdy fat. It's not
all right. He's fat.
No, I don't think so.
No, he trimmed down that, was it 2 years ago or was it last offseason? He grinded. You can't call him fat.
Dalton Varsho's not even fat anymore. What's going on here? All right, talk to me, Title. What do you want to do with game 1?
Yeah, no, my same thoughts were the same as DC's. I wish Toronto had more lefties. Tehran's so much worse against them. It's good to know about Biggio because I was going to say Biggio, Kiermaier at the bottom makes for a nice mini stack. They're so cheap. You get out 4.5K between the two of those guys, 4.6K. 4.6K. So you fill out second base, you fill out outfield position. I don't mind it. I doubt I 5-man stack the Blue Jays, though. As far as the Brewers, I definitely like the Brewers. You could play 1 through 9, I think. A lot of them are cheap. I love Yelich at the top of the order. He's going to run. Miller's been swinging well. William Contreras, back-to-back games with the home run. And then you could play like a 1% Caratini. They have 2 catchers. If you don't have that 1K, 3.7K for Contreras, you can go down to Caratini, 2.7K. Brewers are going to be really low owned, and like DC said, Manoah's just been so bad. I wish it was an extreme pitcher umpire behind the dish. That's the one thing that's holding me back a little bit. But, yeah, with the ownership of this game, I like the Brewers side more than I do the Blue Jays.
All right, like button would be great. I'm just looking at the active roster for the Blue Jays. Alek Manoah. They list him 6'6", 285. There's no way that dude is 285. Easily 3 bills. Easily 3. 6'6", but still he's tall. Then Alejandro Kirk, they say he's 5'8". He's really 5'6". They say he's 245. That dude's like 5'6", 265. So
they're definitely shaving a few pounds off. You
well,
don't want to be like the only 300-pound pitcher in baseball history. So
he would not be the only one. No,
it's like back in the day, high school basketball. You're 6 foot, no, I'm 6'4".
Yeah, that's how it is. You don't want to be as fat. And then in football, you want to be fatter. You want to be heavier. And then the only other guy, who is the fat guy with the Twins, the fat catcher, DC, that I'm forgetting? Astudillo? Was it Astudillo?
Oh, yeah.
That's a 400-pounder right there, dude. No, you know what? Hit the like button for Wilson Astudillo. Just do it for the men. I don't know what the hell that guy's doing anymore. He's got to be in the minors, right? That is that
What's Big Pablo up to these days? Pablo Sandoval. What's he doing?
Probably eating right at the
He's probably eating a lot, Title.
eating with CC Sabathia.
Hey, don't you say a bad word about CC. Plus, CC lost weight.
Redmond just brought up the name, and back in his prime, talk about 3 bills. CC was fat. David Wells was fat. Oh my God, was he fat? We don't have any fat people at RPS except for Tony. Just Big T's, the only fat person here. Can you name another fat person at our? Sorry, Tony, not really. So let's move on to game number 2. Cincinnati and Boston. DC, maybe Cincinnati a little sneaky tonight. You talk about Boston going home, probably looking a lot better. I wish I would have listened to you about that. Bayo didn't really pan out, did he? But the Boston offense tonight, my eyes are wide open. Talk to me here. Both sides, you like them?
Yeah, I really like both sides of this game. My 2 favorite stacks here. Certainly the game stack is in play. Talked about Paxton already at length. I just think he's, when it goes, it's going to go in a hurry for him, and already signs of it in that last start. Just don't think he's going to last very long with this injury history. And when it goes, you're going to want to have the stack against him. 75 degrees, wind blowing out in Fenway Park. It's one of the best parks to hit in anyway. And that, that like 2 through 5 Reds lineup, it's McLean, India, Steer, Stevenson, I think is a very, very appealing. You can go to other guys too. I mean, Newman, 2,600 at the top of the lineup. I do think he'll probably get pinch hit for, frankly, in this game. Maybe Fairchild hitting 6-2. So some risk for the non kind of heart of the order guys. But yeah, I think the Reds have as much upside as any team on the slate tonight. Not a team I stack very often, but I think the upside is absolutely enormous here. Same thing for the Red Sox. Luke Weaver, I think his results this year so far have been, pretty decent. That last start against the Cardinals when he put up 23 fantasy points, though, I think that was on Sunday. Maybe it was Saturday. Whatever it was, the Cardinals had Goldschmidt, Arenado, Contreras all out of the lineup. Probably the worst lineup the Cardinals have put up all year. So don't be fooled by that one. Luke Weaver's not any good. And this Red Sox team, I think, especially the lefties. I mentioned them earlier. Verdugo, Devers, and Yoshida all look great. But you can really go to anybody, I think, in this lineup for the most part. Justin Turner, of course, good option there at 3,600. So very, very high in this game. I'll be pretty surprised if we don't see good number of runs in this one. I like the over on that 10.5 total as well.
I'm surprised that Big T isn't watching right now, Uncle Terrence. It's a little bit disappointing that he's not watching, to be honest with you, and I'm sure you will tell him. Titletown, how about you, my man? What do we got from Cincinnati, Boston? We got some goodness?
Yeah, these first two games were two of my favorite ones of the slate. This game definitely stacks 1 and 2. I lean the Cincy side when it comes to ownership. We talked about a little bit before. Yeah, Paxton. I mean, the Reds definitely have a better chance to put up 0 than Boston does, but I think they just have just as much upside for a lot lower ownership. My least favorite guy in the Red stack would be Kevin Newman. I think he becomes pretty popular. Second base, shortstop eligible, batting leadoff. He's cheap. I would leave him off of my Cincy stacks, and then 2 through 9, I think you're good with. Guaranteed 9th inning at bat. Good hitting weather in Fenway, and then same thing on the other side. I don't think Luke Weaver is any good. Boston is going to be more popular though. Between Boston and the D-backs later, is also going to be popular, I'd rather eat the Boston chalk and just game stack it that way. So prefer Cincy to Boston a little bit with ownership in here. Again, Newman would be my least favorite in the stack. I think he's going to be over-owned. But yeah, game stack it up for sure.
All right, just some Weaver stats here. 23 runs on 43 hits in 38 innings. 44% hard hit rate. Oh, Jesus. This guy has just been an absolute punching bag. So, yeah, we got that game in the book. So we like both the first two games here. Let's see if we can keep it going, DC, with Nola facing the Mets. If I'm correct, didn't the Mets just shell this dude last time on the New York side? They're going with Cookie Carrasco. I think this is another game where we could see runs, DC, and that's why you're probably going to see a popular Philadelphia team tonight. But can you start with the Mets? Maybe we can dig some guys up here against Nola.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to bring it back to the earlier slate today, the Mets would be the team that would be kind of compared to the Angels, right? That had kind of the winners on it with Ohtani and Trout, or some of the winners anyway. Like the Mets have those hitters too, right? Pete Alonso, Lindor, Nimmo, and they get Aaron Nola, who's going to be a popular pitcher on the slate, but has been, I'm laughing at Big T. I thought you were saying that you weren't watching.
I told you I thought he was watching, but Uncle T's like he is. Hi, Tony. All right, please continue with the Mets.
So, yeah, actually, Phillies, I assume, will be kind of low owned too. I'm surprised they don't have a higher team total, but they really haven't been hitting much this year. Really disappointing season so far, at least from Schwarber, from Trey Turner, to some extent. Even Real Muto has not been great. Obviously, Harper's been good since he's come back, but I guess that's why the total's low. Carrasco did look a little bit better in his last outing, but he's still not a guy I have much faith in. And despite the Phillies' struggles, there's no question Turner and Schwarber, like these guys have a long, long track record of performing well. I would expect them to get it going at some point. And Carrasco hasn't been great. You can run on him too. So guys frankly, a lot of these guys, Stott, Turner, Harper, Realmuto, Marsh, all these guys could be stealing bases in this game. And yeah, I think the Mets are a sneaky stack too against Aaron Nola. He's given up a lot of fantasy points. Home runs, steals are all in play with him, and the Mets have a dangerous lineup. So I think either side of this game, frankly, looks pretty good to me.
What do you think, Title? What do we got here? We got to have a couple of Phillies in the lineup today, right?
Yeah, no, I like the Phillies side. Not as much on the Mets. I totally get the Mets side if you're not playing Nola. This Mets team doesn't strike out much. They have power. That they've been hitting the ball pretty well. Not for me on this slate. You definitely can do crazier. I mean, you pretty much, I think, can make a case for every single one of these offenses, maybe except the Twins, because we like Hunter Brown so much. But on the 6-game slate, pitching's gross. If you like the Mets, play the Mets. I definitely like Philly more. I mean, Carrasco last game, yeah, he pitched well, but it was a Wrigley wind game. It was cold weather. Wind was blowing in. Didn't even think he pitched that great. But you look before that, 3 DK points, 8 DK points, 2 DK points, -4 DK points. Like, I do not think Carlos Carrasco is prime Carrasco by any means anymore. No. Philly's guaranteed 9th inning at bat. Okay, hitting weather, and you have multiple ways you can stack this team. JT at the catcher position, shortstop, Trey fills out, Bryson Stott, right, leadoff, fill at the second base spot, Clemens first base, Sosa third base. We talk about the teams. Like, I hate when they have like 6 outfielders when you like just listed as outfielders and you can't play him at a secondary position like that. Phillies you can stack easily. Don't think Carrasco's great. A lot of these games after this we're going to talk about, I don't really have much interest. I'll know where I'm sitting pretty early. But, yeah, I do like the Phillies. Not as much as the Reds in Boston, but the Phillies right there with the Brewers 3rd and 4th.
All right, you guys got about 15 minutes, guys and girls, to get us to 175 likes. Then you will get the plays of the day. I mean, come on. That was funny with Big T. Like, give us a like for that one, no doubt. Also want to remind you, Draft Cheat 15% off, first payment, monthly plan. Let's do it. Get in here right now because, like I keep saying, it's not just the NFL. It's not just the NBA. We do everything here. We do everything well. These two guys with me, Title and DC, killing it on the MMA streets. We've also got tennis, French Open, Susie, spread, JJ, killing it with the tennis as well. Golf, tremendous golf team that we have here. NBA Showdown coming up, NASCAR as well. So you get a little bit of everything. You like a sport, you haven't tried it out yet in DFS, go ahead, sign up. RunPureSports.com. Don't forget about the bet side too. RunPureBets.com because we got a hell of a team on the bet side as well. We got 3 games left here, DC and Title, and we're going to go to the Louis Varland, Mr. Brown. So if I want to get different tonight, DC, and I want to target Hunter Brown, who might I want to pick off from Minnesota, if anybody? If you've even thought about this, I want to get a little bit different tonight and go against the top pitcher on the slate. Who's my one-off?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't stack against Hunter Brown, but you can absolutely pick off a one-off. The Twins have some good hitters to do it with. I would rank it. You know, when you're doing this, you're looking for basically a home run or two, obviously. Joey Gallo would be my top choice, but Edouard Julien, Alex Kirilloff, and then Willie Castro down there, third base, outfield eligible. He's been quietly having a really good year for the Twins. Honestly, I was looking at him today. It's kind of been off my radar, but I do kind of believe in what he's doing. He's 2,500, can play him at either position. And if you're off Hunter Brown, not a bad idea to try to pick off one of those guys against him. So, yeah, I wouldn't do the full stack, but certainly he could give up a home run or two. Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever with Hunter Brown. I'm not really going big on either of these offenses. The Astros side, I think, could do damage. I do like Varland as a pitcher, so I just going elsewhere today. Just love that Fenway game and the Brewers a lot. That's where most of my offense is coming from. But it would be the Astros side that I'd be more likely to stack up.
Title, anything here for you? If you had a one-off or just complete fade, you're not even messing with it.
No, complete fade. I like these earlier games. Definitely not getting to this one.
All right, we got 2 more games to go. First one being the Yankees and the Seattle Mariners. And the Yankees watered-down lineup continues to get it done, DC, right? I mean, every night it seems like they're doing it, and it's obviously all about Aaron Judge, but there have been some ancillary pieces there. And then going up against Clark Schmidt, I mean, you don't really know which Clark Schmidt we're getting, right? He's got some upside here. But what about the Mariners? Is there a couple of Mariners we could pick off?
You certainly can against Clark Schmidt, who's been hit really hard by lefties all year. That's going to be, I think, a theme for him until he changes something. He just doesn't have a changeup to keep the lefties off of the hard stuff that he throws. Everything's breaking in toward those bats. So, yeah, Jared Kelenic would be the top option for me. But, like, that's part of the reason why I like Clark Schmidt is Kelenics really, Cal Raleigh, I guess, to some extent. Just don't have a lot of lefties that you fear. I think Clark Schmidt should fare pretty well against guys like Rodriguez, Suarez, Teoscar Hernandez. I like his strikeout upside against those guys. So, yeah, Schmidt is definitely capable of being blown up. If you want to stack the Mariners, I don't think it's the craziest thing. I'm not going to get there myself. And in the Yankees, I'm not doing it against George Kirby. I will say I think Aaron Judge is a fantastic one-off play today. That's always the case with Aaron Judge, but I do think, particularly tonight, he looks amazing because, one, people are playing George Kirby. We're pretty sure he's going to be the second highest owned pitcher on the slate. And two, the thing that makes Kirby good, the main thing, is he doesn't walk anyone. He literally refuses to give in and walk somebody. He makes you hit your way on, which is exactly what you want with Aaron Judge, right? You're paying $6,200 for a one-off. You don't want those walks. Against George Kirby, he's going to get a chance. Kirby won't give in and just put him on base. So Judge is going to get his swings in. Kirby throws a lot of fastballs. Judge absolutely locked in right now. I think he is an elite one-off on this slate. Again, always the case with Aaron Judge, but I think particularly tonight.
You talked about the early games title. Anything here from this game that we can dig up, even in cash, anything at all?
No, don't want to cut George Kirby. If you're playing cash, you can come to this game. Other than that, yeah, not a game you want to get to bats for.
All right. So should I just pass Colorado and Arizona? Should it just be me and DC for Colorado?
Well, this is the game we're talking chalk stacks and all that.
All right, let's go. You go first. Colorado, Arizona.
D-backs have one of the highest totals on the slate, or second highest, I believe. They're definitely going to get ownership. I think they'll be probably right behind Boston, but we're talking about it. I already like Boston. They're going to be chalky. I'd rather eat that chalk than I will the D-backs, as I mentioned earlier. DC's talking how he likes Lamet anyway, so why play a chalkier stack if DC likes the opposing pitcher? I think Colorado is more interesting when it comes to tournaments. I don't think Tommy Henry is good. I'm surprised he's even made it this long. I didn't think, watching him at Michigan during that College World Series run, I did not expect him to even be close to a every 5 day.
You watched the College World Series title?
My buddy was on Michigan, so.
Oh, okay. That was a surprising statement to hear. I was like, I don't know.
What year was this?
It was
title?
3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Damn, dude, you're young enough to have buddies in college. That's fucking amazing.
I was young enough to have buddies in college.
Oh, yeah. You got so old now. Okay, so what else?
Anyway. Yeah, no, I don't think Tommy Henry's really good, and no one's going to be playing these Rockies. I saw the roof is open in Arizona. Someone put that in the chat. Guaranteed ninth inning at bat, a lot of cheap pieces. Yeah, I think the Rockies are an interesting low-owned stack, too. I like I said, I like the Rockies. I throw the Rockies in the same boat as the Phillies and the Brewers. All of them probably come in single-digit owned. I like Boston. I like the Reds. But those are my 5 teams. It's more teams than I usually like. But I think those 3 teams are a lot lower owned. If you are playing a Kirby Hunter Brown pairing, that's when I think you play a team like the Rockies and 5-man it up. But I prefer the Rockies.
I feel like you can almost go like 1 through 5 since the ownership's going to be there.
You definitely can. Yep.
Not be in a lot of trouble. And I'm just looking at the top 3 DC. The freaking McMahon's been on a tear. Tovar seems like he's finally getting it. And then Grichuk has always been able to hit left-handers. So at least the top 3 look pretty good, DC.
Yeah, I hope they score some runs. Get some run support from my man Dinelson Lamet there. Get him to win. I'm going to need those 4 points.
Yeah.
I like the Rockies. If Lamet gets through 5, he's probably honestly got a pretty good score, frankly, because he's going to have to be really efficient to do it. But I think the Rockies are fine as a trade stack. Tommy Henry very bad. Lamet, like I mentioned, I'm not really even necessarily expecting success. I just think he has success here much more often than his ownership will dictate. That's what it is for me with Lamet. People are going to go to the Diamondback side. I'm obviously not going to be there myself, but I totally get why people would do it. They are a fun, kind of high upside in general team. They got power, they got speed. And, from the sample we do have Lamet in the big leagues this year, it was really rough. I'm obviously expecting better, but of course could be wrong on that. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Okay. Very good. We got through the whole slate. Want to remind you, hit the like button. That'd be really nice. We'd appreciate that. Trevor, I did prep title for this before we did it. Kush the Mush came out today. threw a little Beatles line out there. I was surprised, though. Title does know who the Beatles are. So can you name one song?
Oh, man.
Now I got you. Now I got you.
That was the original claim, so you can still win this.
You said you knew him. Name what? Come on, one Beatles song.
No, you got to sing some of the words of a song. And I'll tell you if I know
live in the Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, of course I know that one, but I don't know what it's called. But name a more popular one. Name a
maybe Yellow Submarine would be a good
Yellow Submarine is that?
Name start singing another song, like one of the more popular ones.
What do you mean one of the more popular?
Obviously that one is too, but that wasn't the first. That wasn't the first one I thought of.
Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna look it up. Hey Jude, yeah, I know Hey Jude.
Hey Jude, you've heard of Hey Jude?
Yeah.
Hey Jude.
Let me see all these songs.
Yeah, Tangerine Motorboat.
Let It Be. Let It Be is probably my favorite song by the Beatles. That one's liked on my. The
Beatles are overrated, by the way. Put me on the record.
You know what? I'm with you, buddy. I don't. There's no people that are 90 watching the show, and if you are 90, by all means, congratulations for figuring out YouTube, but. Outside of that, I don't know how many people like the Beatles anymore. They do have a few good songs, and Title knew who they were.
So Let It Be was the only one that I've listened to.
Yeah, come on. It's another like for Title knowing the Beatles. Who's hitting a home run? Who's our play of the night here, DC? Let's go. He's frozen.
Got him on the froze.
So you know what, T man, Title. You know what? Let's do it. What do you got for us? Who's the home run play tonight? Who's the play of the night?
Who is going deep tonight? Well, I mean, I don't want to spend all the way up and spend your salary, but you asked who's going deep.
Yeah,
Bryce Harper's going deep.
Yeah,
but that's a little expensive. So let's get a little cheaper.
That's all right. You can be expensive.
Bryce Harper. Yeah, I mean, I like Clark Schmidt and Bryce Harper. A little 2-for-1 with DC frozen. I'll give the pitcher and Clark Schmidt. With the ownership, but
I think Hunter Schmidt tonight. Okay, little Hunter Schmidt action tonight. I like that. I can deal with that. I'm telling you, I'm going with it right now. It was a 2-man race. Am I going with Tovar or am I going with Ryan McMahon? I'm going to go Ryan McMahon with the Rockies. I think you got to look at Ryan McMahon. If you're just poo-pooing the Rockies, go look at some of the matchups against the lefties. I get it; they're on the road. They haven't been as bad on the road as they have been. In the past. There's Bill Miner. There's our one guy that lived in the Beatles era. There you go, buddy.
Bill's man.
All right, DC, let's go. Who's the play of the night?
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little off the grid and give a 3-man stack as
the
play of the night. Our boy AP classic reach around stack, as he likes to call it.
Disgusting.
3-man from the Brewers, Joey Wiemer in the 9-hole, Christian Yelich, and Owen Miller. I think all 3 guys, safe from pinch hit, all 3 guys can steal bases against Manoah, and pretty cheap combined stack as well. So there you go. Can combine that with your favorite 5-man wherever you want to go.
Well, I honest to God, I'm going to ask you a serious question. I need a one-off catcher under 3,300 on DK. Do I go with Fat Boy Kirk, or is there somebody else down there that I should be looking at?
Kirk's definitely a good option.
Because these are cheap catchers. Jeffers for the one-off. You're going to do that. I don't really like
that. Well, what team are you stacking?
Well, I'm stacking Colorado and Philly, and I don't have the money for Real Muto, and I don't want to go with the Rockies catcher.
Yeah, I think Kirk makes the most sense.
He fits in there. He fits pretty good. All right, guys. Terrific stuff. Boys and girls, thanks for checking out the show today. Hit the like button on the way out. We'd really appreciate it. That's one thing. Second of all, if you haven't checked out runpuresports.com, you're not a member, check it out. Like I've been saying the whole show, we've got amazing content. So many sports are still going on. Golf, MMA, NBA Showdown, tennis, NASCAR. So we've got a lot going on here. NFL best ball video is out with Title and JSU. And then tomorrow, myself, JSU, and Big T, we doing Showdown for NBA Game 1. Woo! I can't wait for the NBA Finals. What's that?
Millie Maker tomorrow.
Oh, we got Millies. We got everything going on. All right, Title, great show. DC, great show. I'm Holden. Whatever. Keep running pure.